Joining us now for World Brief and the review of some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Vimbai Mutinhiri Ekpenyong. Good morning, Vimbai, and Happy New Year to you.
Good morning, Dr. Abati. A happy new year and a prosperous 2026 to you, to Ayo, to Rufai, and of course to all of our viewers. We're going to remain optimistic and pray that this will be a good year. All right, well, let's get straight into it with the World Brief. As, of course, would be expected on a morning like this, we're all focusing on how the world rung in the new year. So as Wednesday turned to Thursday, people around the world said goodbye to a sometimes challenging 2025, but expressed hopes for the new year to come. Midnight arrived first on the islands closest to the international dateline in the Pacific Ocean. These are called the Kiritimati, the Christmas Islands, Tonga and New Zealand. In Australia, Sydney began 2026 with a spectacular fireworks display of about 40,000 pyrotechnic effects stretching over 7 kilometers from the Sydney Harbour Bridge. Now, this year it was held under an enhanced police presence and somewhat more subdued atmosphere because it's just weeks after gunmen killed 15 people at a Jewish event in the city. Organizers held a minute's silence for the victims of the attack, with the harbour bridge lit up in white and a menorah, that's a symbol of Judaism, projected onto its pylons. In Seoul, South Korea, thousands gathered at the Bosingak Bell Pavilion, where a bronze bell was struck 33 times at midnight. The chimes are believed to dispel misfortune and welcome peace and prosperity for the year ahead. Now, an hour to the west, there were celebrations and a drum performance at the Juyong Pass, that's at the Great Wall of China, just outside Beijing. Revelers wore headgear and waved boards emblazoned with 2026 and the symbol of a horse, as February will mark the arrival of the Year of the Horse on the Chinese lunar calendar. I love how the Chinese are so consistent with their themes. Now, in Hong Kong, the annual New Year's fireworks display was called off. That was after the apartment complex blaze in November that killed 161 people. So instead, they had a light show with a theme of new hopes, new beginnings, transforming facades in the central district. Now to Croatia, which was quite interesting for me, as celebrations got off to a very early start. So since the year 2000, the town of Fuzine has held its countdown at noon. That's 12 hours before the crossover. And that's a tradition that has since spread across the country. So celebrations kicked off midday and people could be seen enjoying themselves. Now, some brave souls in Santa hats took a plunge into the icy waters of Lake Bayer. Now, on Copacabana Beach, all the way in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, locals welcomed in the new year with an attempt to beat their 2024 Guinness World Record for the biggest New Year's Eve celebration in the world. To Greece, where the ancient Parthenon temple on the Acropolis had a quiet new year, as the mayor of Athens said silent, environmentally friendly fireworks were used, citing distress caused by loud display to animals, pets, and also to some people. Finally, in snowy Kiev and Moscow, both Ukrainians and Russians saw in the new year expressing hopes of peace after almost 4 years of conflict. So we can generally see that as much as people did their best to try and maintain a festive spirit, the world stepped into 2026 with a somewhat subdued mood, a subdued spirit, and we just anticipate that this year will be better than last year, especially when we look at global conflicts and tensions and escalations in threats of warfare around the world. Now, before I throw back to the studio in Lagos, let's take a look at what the front pages of the newspapers are saying today. It's largely about the president's New Year's Day speech, as it would be naturally. But let's kick off with this day newspaper. This day is, of course, starting the year with two very big stories. The first being the president's New Year's message, which you all have analyzed in great detail already. It was an assurance that the fiscal reset made in 2025 and 2026 will bring more robust economic growth. Now, a key takeaway for me that stood out is that he was saying that he believes this is the year that some of these reforms will start to reach Nigerian households. And that's all people are waiting for. So all the economic indices that are being celebrated are fantastic, and people are happy to hear these numbers. However, people would be more satisfied and have a greater sense of peace of mind if the reforms could touch the pockets of the households. Now, as expected, of course, the message did put a big focus on the potential benefits that the presidency anticipates as a result of the new tax laws kicking into action today. At the top of the paper, Heirs Energies acquires Moret and Prom's 20.07 stake in Seplat Energy in a $500 million transaction, one of the biggest transactions in the sector in Nigeria. And also, this is a second part of a huge deal that Heirs Energy did earlier with Afrexim Bank for that $750 million facility. This is all happening within a window of a couple of weeks. So analysts are saying there's definitely something cooking up in the oil sector. If you look at the moves that were made by Garegu as well just a few days ago, and then you look at the fact that NNPC has had their debts wiped off by the president, is it possible that maybe NNPC is going to be listing in this new year? I don't know, just speculation. Let's go to Vanguard newspaper, which is also focusing on the president's New Year's message. However, Vanguard leads with politics as groups continue to kick back against the tax laws as they kick off today. And of course, this includes the ADC, the Labour Party, and NANS. But this is also coming as a High Court of the Federal Capital Territory declined to restrain the federal government from going ahead with today's implementation day. As already has been unpacked earlier in the show, it's all systems go, and different processes will have to take place if there are to be any amendments to be done to the tax laws. But we're still interested in the outcome of the probe from the House of Reps. It shouldn't be one of those committees that just, disappears into the abyss. Now to the New Telegraph newspaper, which is also focusing on the new tax regime that kicks off today, but also gives us some politics as well, with reportage from Peter Obi's grand ceremony to join the ADC yesterday. He was in the company of National Assembly members, Senator Enyinaya Baribe, Victor Ume, Tony Nwoye. Some ex-governors were also there. Even activists such as Aisha Yesufu also picked up their membership ADC cards yesterday. So he was warmly received by the erstwhile party stalwarts. Atiku Abubakar, David Mark were all there to witness his arrival. But, many people are saying, is this the calm before the storm, where everybody is going to be friendly and hold hands and sing Kumbaya before the real fight for the ticket kicks off? And of course, we're also still waiting to hear whether election is going to be pushed forward or brought forward to November. Those discussions had been happening in the National Assembly last year. Now to Punch, that reports that the so-called 600 billion naira war chest belonging to River State cannot save Fubara in 2027. This is according to Nyesom Wike, as of course the battle lines have been drawn boldly and clearly in River State. If you recall, there's been talk about the sole administrator leaving behind a lump sum of 600 billion naira in the state's coffers following the conclusion of the 6-month emergency rule. Now, this is, of course, as Nyesom Wike continues to accuse Governor Fubara of reneging on their agreements. He's currently on a statewide tour around the local government areas, and it seems the governor is the top priority, the top talking point in most of the engagements. Daily Independent is where we round up with our Nigerian papers today, and it spotlights statements from the president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, Joe Ajero, who has declared that Labour will be pushing for a new minimum wage in 2026. We haven't forgotten how that went last time. We wonder how this situation, this process will be managed this time around, especially given the context of several shifting pieces in our economy currently. Now we go to our UK papers. UK papers start with The Sun. The UK papers are unrelenting in keeping tabs on developments from Anthony Joshua's car accident. We really have to applaud them for that, and maybe encourage some of our own pressmen to also continue to keep tabs on the story. But The Sun is reporting that the trucker who had been driving that truck that had been left on the side of the road is on the run. That's according to The Sun. Of course, they probably are getting their sources from AJ's camp. But this is as sources also confirmed that AJ will be headed back to the UK very soon. This is a positive development because it means that he's strong enough to travel very soon. Now we close with The Guardian in the UK. Of course, Keir Starmer's New Year's message is being pitched as the year of proof as he seeks to woo MPs to his side and dispel backbench angst over looming May elections. Now, if you look at the New Year's messages from around the world, whether it be the South African president or Xi Jinping in China, all the presidents and heads of state have tried their best to set an optimistic agenda for their citizens and position themselves in a favorable place in 2026 that we have started on quite a subdued note globally. That's all we have today on the World Brief and Newspaper Review. Throw back to the studio for your comments.
Right. I mean, happy New Year to you, Vimba. You're going to be giving us all the gist what it feels like spending New Year in Abuja. But yes, apart from all the festivities, on the foreign scene, let's not forget that there are many things, that are pending. Trump, Ukraine, Russia. There's no deal in sight. Russia wants land, but nothing is going to happen as regards that because the Ukrainians do not want to cede. Will they cede? Will they not cede? The killings are still going on. Collateral damage. The Gaza conundrum is still there. People are still being killed in Gaza, despite the fact that the Western media is not reporting that. The Cambodia issue is still there. These are some things we are looking at in the new year. Then politics. The rise of the right wing is still there. I saw the headline was saying Keir Starmer is going to be a year of proof showing workings. When you check the opinion polls in the UK, you have the likes of Nigel Farage still locking in deep there, and a very huge right-wing movement coming strong at him. On the local scene, yes, last year was a year of a lot of transactions because, they did the heirs holding deal last minute, Iredell deal last minute, Adigiregu deal also last minute at the tail end of the year. But it's going to be a year of, a lot of questions, and it's going to be a year of a lot of politics rather than governance. Obi's defection to the ADC, we will see how that pans out. I'm waiting that with bated breath, but like I keep saying, after the primaries of the ADC presidential primaries, we will know if they truly want to work together or they will leave. A part of me is saying that some people might have to find other alternatives. But another part of me is saying, let's give them the benefit of that. The other day I was talking to Mr. Kola Ologbodi, I was like, okay, let's give them the benefit of that. It will be on the ADC to be able to prove Nigerians wrong, that they're ready to work together. But a part of me is saying that with the ambition a lot of people have there, let's say it pans out. Yeah, the new tax laws, a lot of controversies. People will chime in on that. In fact, we have somebody talking about that this morning. We'll see how that pans out and this new regime for a lot of Nigerians.
Yeah, I believe that's going to dominate conversations today as expected. That's the new tax laws. Like you mentioned, you used your phrase, disappear into the abyss. And that's why we continue to call to question the investigation that the National Assembly is currently undergoing to ensure that they are able to find out if the allegations are true around the gazetted copy being different from the harmonized bill that was sent to the president for his assent. And then, of course, if anyone is found culpable, to face the full wrath of the law. And then maybe then we can have wider conversations around the implications of that. Earlier today, we were talking about a court that had stopped an executive order by a civil society organization to halt the process based on these, areas that have not yet been resolved. But as we've seen, it's still coming to the law. A few things that we're breaking down today. I believe Rotus as well will be speaking on this in the course of the news report. People are still a bit jittery because there are questions that are still, grey. One of the things that people have been propagating is around you having to have a narration, even on your personal transfers. And Mr. Taiwo Idele has come out to debunk that, to say that it doesn't work that way, and just to ensure that people are not misinformed. Now, with regards to New Year, Happy New Year to everybody. There are a few traditions that people have, and a few countries at Arise who try to showcase some of the major cities around the world and how they entered into 2026. Some interesting traditions, for instance, in Spain, if you're looking for romance and a soulmate in 2026, I hope you were eating 12 grapes at midnight with every chime of the bell. That's the tradition in Spain. So for those, we're fine. I hope he ate 12 grapes at midnight.
I actually ate grape yesterday.
You see, so this is the year of the marriage for certain people and maybe for Rutus as well. So it just goes to show how people take this very seriously.
Rutus needs to eat 24, not 12.
On that note, I rest my case.
Okay, very quickly, beyond the fireworks, the spectacular, pyrotechnic displays all over the world, either at the Burj Khalifa in Dubai or at the Copacabana at the Rio de Janeiro beach, or celebration in Edinburgh or in London or the ball drop in New York. I think that now that we're in a new year, where a number of things have started happening already. At 12 midnight, Zonra Mamdani was sworn in. The ceremony will continue this morning with the official ceremony at the City Hall. Now, also, this is the year of America 2050, right? When America will be celebrating America 250. When America will be celebrating, 250 years of its existence as an independent nation. America is also going to host the World Cup this year, so there's a lot of expectation in that particular regard. And then, of course, in Nigeria here, what are the expectations of the people? I try to link that to the speech by the president. That's simply, Nigerians expect that 2026 will be better. And all the promises that the president has made, they will expect that those promises will come to fruition and will not just stay at the level of rhetoric. And then one significant thing, talking about a tradition on New Year Day, is, of course, color. You are wearing green. Green shows growth, promise, right? Blue shows confidence and stability.
Hopes of dollars.
Black is to depict elegance and power.
Oh, that's
in other words, color choice is part of it.
Yeah, I'm looking at your choice of a black bow tie today.
And then white, of course, is about harmony and very strong expectations in the new year. But also, as we enter the new year, let us also note that it's not all peaceful in the world. In Iran, there is protest by university students who are saying, long live the Shah, death to the dictator, because of problems that they have with inflation, with the cost of living, with the currency hitting an all-time low. But the important thing is that President Pezeshkian says they are willing to talk to the people to find out what the problems are. But it's ironic that in Iran, they are calling for another revolution, this time not the 1979 revolution, but a people-centered revolution. And finally, in Bulgaria, some disquiet because they have now decided to adopt the euro as currency. And the people are saying, no, we prefer our traditional currency that we've been using since 1881. They could go the Italian way and cause problems, or it could go the Estonian, Lithuanian way and lead to strong investment. Thank you very much indeed. And once again, Happy New Year. Bye.
Happy New Year.